but this one was probably bought. So if you see that, you know, it's kind of round. Cats have round heads. This would not be a wild canine. Canines have long, so that you can tell it's a cat by its shape of its head. Yeah, because you know they're kind of incurved, you know, that you know nothing's gonna get around that bobcat, right? Kind of the size of a cat and a bobcat. A big fat cat with a short tail and a small bobcat, yeah. So, but the really trick is the ear tufts and the tail. If you got a camera out in the, you know, out in the woods and stuff like that, you can tell. Okay, go ahead. Bobcats are all okay. I'm sorry. They're carnivores. They have sharp teeth. They got 30 teeth. Possums have. Anybody know how many? It's got the most teeth of any mammal in North America. How many teeth does a possum have? Huh? 50. They got more teeth than any other mammal in North America. Okay, this means they were meant to survive. They have sharp teeth. They like rabbits, hares, mice, squirrels, birds, sometimes even deer in the wild. Ours eats rabbits, squirrels, fish, tilapia, whole tilapia. Smelt, loves smell. He would inhale smelt. Never even touch his teeth. He just inhales it. And you can buy that at Walmart. If they live close to farms, of course, they will kill livestock. Opportunistic.
I have a question. We had a bobcat on our homestead, and we lost some guineas
Yeah.
at night.
Yeah. Well, you know, opportunistically, it's better than hunting down a quill. It's easy prey. You know, it's like making pizza and have to cook a roast all day long, and I already get pizza. Opportunistic, so you know, that's opportunistic. Give me a guinea. There you go. You're right there. And boxes like guineas too. Yep. They are strong, fierce hunters. They have a really, don't have a really hard bite pressure. It's a couple of 100 pounds, whereas wolves and German shepherds and stuff have 750 and up to 1,500. But they have a sharp, tight, fast, holding bite. So you know, if you're getting bit by a bobcat, don't try to wiggle out because you know it's got incurved teeth. They take down their hunting skills by they can leap two times their size of prey, and they can leap 10 feet in the air and go 15 feet straight forward. So they're very, very powerful. They have they stealth. I got a picture of that too. I got a video of that too. So they can leap up to 10 feet away. So if you can walk by a bobcat and you say, "Oh, I'm going to get a picture," like people do in Cades Cove, don't do that. Because, you know, wild animals are wild animals for a reason. Leave them alone. Look at afar. Because bobcat chick can jump 10 feet right on the bill. And they can turn around their butt and do what? Avoid bobcats. Spray right on you for 10 feet away. I know, I've been sprayed by many bobcats. Okay, good. Look at that. I don't know who that is. It looks like Kirby because of his mutton chops. Some of bobcats have really, really, really big sideburns. So look at his teeth. I would not. So we don't defang them. We don't do all that. When we go in, bobcats usually are kind of like cats. They like, what you doing? And you don't reach out and touch them. Leave them alone. They're wild animals still in their brain. So he'll come up and graze you and then just go, okay, I'm done. I'm done with you, I'm bored. So that's how we treat our bobcats. We go in, sometimes we clean, they just come up and say, hi, what are you doing? And then they leave. Okay, go. See how they stealth and they hunt? When we get new bobcats in, that's not a lot of people. They spend their couple of days walking like that as low as possible. So because they don't know where they're at. So we let them stay in a cage off display for at least 2 weeks to get used to that. And then we let them out in the habitat and take the other bobcat out so they can find their hiding places and they can find their safe places. And so we let them together, especially if it's boys, you have a fight going on. But not too bad of a fight. One says, this is the way it is. And Kirby's usually like that. But he's 19. You'll push enter and see if that's I don't think so. I think the next one is. Okay. No, okay. Bobcats have an excellent sense of hearing and sight. They usually hunt when it's dark outside because these two senses are very important. Their sense of smell is just as important because they don't have a super power smell like a turkey vulture. Turkey vultures can smell. That's why black vultures hang around turkey vultures, because black vultures hardly has a sense of smell. Turkey vultures do, so they also all the animals do that too. Okay, yeah. That's beautiful Kirby. He's 19. He's from Texas. So he's at the end of his life, man. Maybe 2 or 3 more years. But he's very, very healthy as a 19-year-old bobcat can be. He's very, very social. He loves John. When John walks through the park, meow, meow. They do meow, but not like a cat, but meow, meow. And then he gives him mice through the fence. It's just like, it's so cute. Okay, go. Like most cats, bobcats are solitary animals. They prefer to live alone and usually aren't seen together. It's not easy to find bobcat in the wild unless you go in snow and track one and happen to see their prints. There are lots of bobcats in the environment, but you don't see them. They like to eat squirrels. They like to eat rabbits. Just any kind of small prey, but if it's a mom and kids, she has to teach them that. So maybe they would get a baby deer, a little fawn that weighs probably 10 pounds. Okay, just a minute. Don't push enter until. Okay. Bobcats make several different sounds. They growl, snarl, scream. Kirby don't do any of that until I come out with the blow dart. He knows exactly what the blow dart gun is, and he knows he's going to get popped in the rear because we tranquilize. Sometimes for health, for vet visits, or we do rabies shots, all kinds of shots, and we don't usually knock him because he's 19 years old. So he don't like that gun, and he comes to life like a 2-year-old bobcat. He climbs up the side and comes underneath, and he hangs upside down, and we have to get him to be still so I can, pop him in the biggest part of his body. And then he's out, whatever his medicine. So he don't like it, and he screams and hisses and growls. They're very territorial animals. Each bobcat has their own little home, which they mark with claw marks. We're going to have a video in a minute. Each bobcat can mark, and that's their scent. And if it's a pack, it's not called a pack, it's litter, I guess, because it's a mom and kids. They each have their own smell, just like wolves. They have their own territories. Males have larger territories than females, and they overlap. Because boys go here to the girl and then go here to the girl. So he has multiple families. Most animals do. Mamas don't. Mamas have a smaller family and a smaller territory to raise their kids in. Okay, they'll hit enter. This is how a bobcat sounds. Go back. Hit that little microphone. Touch the microphone with him. If you're sitting outside at a fire, camping, chilling, and hear that, sounds like a woman screaming. That's what, the old saying is. But that's how they communicate, and that's the screech of a bobcat. Sometimes they purr and growl, but that's normally what you hear if they're out hunting and stuff like that. That's their. It'll scare you to death if you're laying there in a camper, wolf sitting, and you all of a sudden hear a bobcat scream and a screech owl scream at the same time. Just like, oh, what is that? Go ahead, Gil. Okay, this is going to be a video of, I think that's
Bo and Kirby.
That's Bo and Kirby. Bo is here, Kirby's here, and you're going to see a big streak in a minute with no fur on it at all. when he come from Texas, he had to wait about 6 months because he has dermatitis. So contact dermatitis is evident in cats. So you can't medicate him every day. You have to treat his environment. So we have treated his environment, because the next slide you see after that is the picture that John made, a couple of months ago?
Yeah, not long ago.
Yeah, and he has no dermatitis at all. So go ahead, Gil. And he's a big bobcat. See, that's Clyde. He's marking his territory. They have scent glands in their little feet. And they do play. We have probably a half-acre habitat for him and for them. And that's their, they hate it. They don't like to lay on their platform. Especially Kirby, because Kirby has balance issues, because that's his brain. He had toxoplasmosis that affects their balance. Go ahead, Gil. This is Kirby. Look at the right side. He's all clean. His dermatitis comes and goes, but never like as bad. So he has to always bed in aspen. And have to remind some of the other naturals, do not bed him in cedar or pine or anything, because it's got the sticky stuff in it, sap. So aspen is the least, but it's kind of like a hypoallergenic bedding for animals and humans. So that's Kirby now. So this is going to be a scent roll. That pelt looks exactly like him, but he's a big guy. He's 35, 40 pounds. So they'll hit enter, and it should be a scent roll. Probably vanilla. Cats tend to like vanilla. Kind of do like a wolf. They scent roll to get that smell on them, so it don't. It's many different reasons. It doesn't white patches on his eye. It's going to be a good a picture of him with the white spots. They have two purposes, and I'll get into that in a minute, I think. Okay, Gail. Bobcats have several dens. They have one here, one there. Like, I have 5 houses. Girl has 3 or 4 houses, and they just kind of like hollow places. They don't dig a den like a wolf or a dog or a coyote. They have hollow out trees in a little cliff area, and they bed down. They bring their bedding in there, and when they have babies, they pick one of their houses, just whichever one they want to, whichever one they feel safer to. They have their babies. They're pregnant for 8 to 10 weeks, kind of like a dog. Dog's pregnant for 63 days, so they're a little bit better, a little bit more than that. After this time, she'll give birth to 4 to 7, but I say 6, little baby bobcats. They're darker when they're born because they have to camouflage. They weigh about 12 ounces. Wolves weigh 1 pound, like a black bear. 1 pound when they're born. Males do not help raise young. They just help daddy them. Go ahead, Gail. Look at that. That's about 3 weeks ago we decided 15 to 20 days. Now their eyes are barely, they're open. But this is not ours because we don't have any babies. I'd love babies, but we don't have babies at the mountain. So they're so cute. They're just so cute. Look at them claws. They're born with claws. Wolves are too. They have big old claws. And if you want to come to the wolf program Friday, I'll show you all kinds of stuff. Okay, go ahead, Gil. Bobcat babies are born blind. Like all the little kittens and all little doggies, they're born blind and deaf. Their little ears closed, and they don't need to do anything except what? What is their most important thing to do? Nurse, eat. They can smell their mommy, and they can smell their brothers and sisters. Because they don't need to hear, though. They don't need to hear all this outside. They don't need to be distracted from their mom. They nurse until they are old enough to start eating, which is probably about a month. Young bobcats will stay with their mother 9 to 12 months because mama has to teach them how to hunt safely. They learn how to hunt during all this time, and then they leave that winter, and then they can have babies of their own. They have to teach. They can secure mom before leaving, and they find their own territory. Remember, they're territorial. Girls just can't move out down the rock, 2 or 3 rocks away and have a family. They have to get out of that territory. Look at that. I know, and when you take care of baby bobcats, look at them claws. I mean, if anybody's has picked up a little baby kitten, they go, and Yeah. So they're so sweet though. Oh Lord have mercy. Go ahead, Gil. Despite being such fierce hunter, bobcats are sometimes preyed on by bigger animals. Of course, cougars and wolves. Cougars are iffy down here. You know, everybody says they saw them or not saw them, but they're native here. Wolves used to be native here, so they were preyed on by wolves a lot. Babies are also in danger from owls. They can pick them up. An owl can pick up probably 10 to 15 pounds. Coyotes snatching them while their mother is out hunting because their mom has to go out hunting for some reason. Okay, Gil. Bobcats don't usually attack humans though, but there are a few instances. A few instances of rabies. You know, rabies changes your whole outlook because rabies is not preventable. It's not curable, but it is before you get. Because I have rabies shots, so does Gail. You know, because I work with wild animals, and we are owners of Hilltop Wildlife Rescue, which is kind of in a hiatus right now. I've been through a lot of stuff, so I moved and.
You're on 26 line of 41.
Yeah. Okay. Bobcats are okay. Wait a minute, Gail. Well, some of them are considered pests, and there is a open season. There is a season for bobcats in Tennessee because if you don't have a season, and we have what's going on in the deer community, we have so much sickness and so much, chronic wasting disease and blue tongue disease. So you have to have conservation. So you have to have legal hunting rights so we can thin out the crowd because wolves are not down here anymore. That's why coyotes are here. Coyotes are not native to East Tennessee. Guess why they're here? The wolf said, nope, stay over there where you belong. This is our country. So the only wolves that were here in southeastern United States were gray wolves and the red wolves, but not the coyotes. But now the wolves are not here, the coyotes come over there and bred with the red wolves and messed up their whole population. There's 9 red wolves now in the world in the wild. That's not very much. Bobcats are known to live up to 12 years in the wild, but we've had, I think, 22 is Rufus. As 20 or 22 years old was Rufus. When I come to Bays Mountain Park, we had a 22-year-old bobcat that would just sit in your lap and stuff like that. But they usually live 3 to 4 years in the wild. That's not much, is it? To hurry up and have babies and raise babies and, you're done. Bobcats are known. Okay, yeah, sorry. Just enjoy the pictures, and then we can ask questions and stuff like that. That is, I don't know, that looks like Clyde, but I don't know. He escaped, so. This is one of my favorite pictures in the world. You'll see it a lot. That is Duncan. He comes from Duncan, South Carolina. Okay, I drove down there to get him and took a volunteer with me, Faye at the time, and picked up this bobcat because he was a non-releasable wildlife. And he was probably 2 at the time. Very nice, not nice, but very accustomed to humans. But he can do a thing that most bobcats can't do with no claws. Climb trees. Him, Duncan, and there was another one we went and got the year later named Dakota because, it sounds good together. And they could both climb trees, and there was no bobcats on the ground. Every time you seen a bobcat at mountain, you had to look up at trees because they run and they jump to these hemlock trees and they climb by like a ladder by the rungs, and they just lay up there all day long. So we had to get pictures of up in the trees and not on the ground. So that's why that picture. Kenny Childers took that picture, and I was there with. It's a beautiful. I love that picture. He was a South Carolinian bobcat. There's just beautiful eyes and ear. Is a perfect little bobcat. Is it time for me to wind up? The beautiful eyes. This is Kirby. Really nice. No. Oh, go slow. He's let me see. If he sits down, he would probably be what?
Just a hair lower than that,
yeah. Something. He's pretty big. Most bobcats are not that big. We just, he's not overweight, but he kind of is. Anybody know the reason cats have a loose skin on their belly? It's not old.
It's for fighting.
For fighting. You know, they fight with their back legs, and if their skin moves, it's hard to get a, hook in or hold on. So it moves around. And the older a cat gets, of course, it gets kind of bigger, like we all do. But he's got a really pouch. I think it's called a pouch. He's got a really pretty good pronounced one because he's 19 years old. He's lived probably 16 years longer than in wild. The wolf, we've got an oldest living wolf at the park. Her name is Natar. She can have a picture in the wolf program, and she is going to be 15 in April. That's over double the life expectancy. But she has arthritis and stuff like that. Wild wolves don't really do that because they don't live long enough to have stuff like that going on. She has recovered from a torn ACL also. That's hard to do because you can't have surgery on a wolf like that because they have to stay pinned up for 2 months, 3 months for a torn ACL. Wolves don't do that. Wolves don't live like that. So she would hurt herself trying to come out of that enclosed space, so she couldn't run, jump, and do anything. So we had to slowly let her get better on her own. And that was kind of smaller. Maybe her pen was like half of this room instead of all the pen. So, it took just about 3 years for her to recover from a torn ACL. But she's 15 now. She's awesome, and she's a beautiful little wolf. Of course, she's beautiful. Our mother donated the money to buy her and name her. Her name is Natar. Anybody know what Natar means? If you're a realtor, you should. Northeast Tennessee Association of Realtors is her name. Because my mother is a realtor, and every time me and Gail see Natar, we just think, oh, my mom looks like my mama. Because my mommy's gone. Not right now, she's living. Huh? Yeah. Okay. Look at his mutton chops. He's got pretty much sideburns. He's got long sideburns too. And sometimes that's aiding and fighting too, because they have a lot of fur here. Wolves have tremendous amounts of fur here. It's called a mane. Wolves have a mane. Some cats have a mane. Wild cats have a mane because when they fight, all that fur and that dense fur moves around, and it's thick, so it protects them. Kirby loves to drink water. He's the waterest drinking bobcat we've ever seen. He drinks water all the time. That's our pond that was probably made 35 years ago or something like that when the Bobcats was introduced in the park, probably about 40 years ago. When they first started Bays Mountain Park 50 years ago last year, they had small cages about this big, and about this tall. That's, a long time ago in the 70s, that's how you kept animals, and then we got better and better and better. So we have a half-acre habitat. We have 2 big, nice houses, and then we have probably a half-acre roam in, probably bigger than this room, and that's a lot bigger than most nature centers or zoos. So that water is completely fresh, and it comes out on one side, and it's fresh every day, and then runs out the other side. So it's always fresh, and it never freezes unless something happens to the big water. Because our water supply on the mountain is out of a pump and out of a spring on top of the base mountain. So it's good stuff, water. That was backwards, but go forward. Next one, okay. He likes to play in the water. Guess what he's doing, Gail? Okay, come back. Yeah. We had a bobcat named Sequoia. They come from California. Scappoose and Sequoia was there when I was there. And they come in a big crate, big enough to fit 3 humans, they say, because I wasn't there at the time. But Sequoia and Scappoose was brother and sister, and he was a stinker. He was a diva. Scappoose, not so much. Scappoose was a beautiful, she was a beigeish color of bobcat, really thick fur. That was her fur. So he was silly. Every time people walk by his habitat, there's a fence, of course, and then there's a walkway. And then he would just turn his tail. And if he could spray on people, which could go 10 feet, and he would. So when you go visit him, you always like this. So when you go in with him, you know, when you fixing the fences, fixing the pond, if he turns his tail, step back, step back. Now, our Bobcats kind of think they can, but our Bobcat right now is Kirby's fixed. So he don't do it as much. But he does pig in his water and all that stuff, but he don't spray 10 feet. But Sequoia always have a school group up there and standing on the walkway. And I said, now guys, if he approaches you and turns around, step back. So a lot of kids got sprayed, and it stinks really, really bad. Yeah, our Bobcat habitat stunk all the time like that and our fox habitat stinks like that now because foxes smell like skunks. And he does it all the time because that's what his urine is. He don't have stink bags, but that's what his urine smells like. And he's just so pretty and regal, right? He's a beautiful, beautiful Bobcat. That's one of my favorite pictures, and it was taken by probably Karen or Jay. Probably 5-6 years ago when it snowed. We get snow pretty often up there, 5 or 6 times a year, I guess, or maybe more. But that's just a perfect picture of the Bobcat. He's amazing. I think that's it. He's really yawning, and that's Kirby now. So we only have one Bobcat right now. Sometimes, you know, we're in a forest. Sometimes trees happen. They fall down. And, you know, if it happens in the middle of the night, what can you do? They can't get out because it's electricity, 6 lines of electricity at the bottom. It's got a turn in. So if they climb, they can't climb out. And they can't climb enough to jump out because we have the habitats such. So, but if a tree falls and they have a ladder over and out, that happens. And sometimes if it's erosion, I try to prevent erosion at all costs. Because if you got really a lot of rain, and you got an under fencing, so the cats or dogs or wolves or whatever can't dig out, it's called an under curtain. And all this water rushing makes a hole under that fence, and they can get out. Kirby don't get out, he don't care. But the other Bobcat just went out right out that hole. Of course, we didn't know it until the next morning, and when we seen it. So it, you know, happens, and we try to catch them, and we try to do everything. But you know, sometimes that happens. Hopefully, he's out there and just living his best life. We had one like that. Aspen was before I come. She escaped. They didn't have no idea how she escaped, so they had to take claws off on the front, and then they escaped and got her back. And then she climbed up and jumped out again, so they took her back claws off. But you know what? She lived about 6 or 7 years because we would see her. Her name was Aspen, and she was really dark. And she had babies because we'd seen her, a little kitten. So, you know, Bobcats are resourceful. So, you know, with them teeth, you slap it, you know, they can just slap it, and then they do play. When you throw
Even
stuff
without claws,
in,
they can grab. They got
yeah,
soft
they
collars.
can open their hands just kind of like we can, and they hold their prey down and stuff. So I mean, they're okay. Much thanks for the pictures, Jay. Jay will be here sometime, or he's our park